Hey everybody, it's Gordon. Welcome to the bench. Tonight we are going to work on a front knob for a large plane. I believe it was a Sargent. Yep, see, I said it. Sargent. I can say it. It's not the other kind. It's Sargent. Nice. It's got a tippy front knob, one that is adjustable. This one's broken and it looks pretty straightforward. And we're going to fix it. Looks really easy. What's going on here? Cool. Okay. So we're gonna bring it back to shape. Stick around. I'll show you how I do it. So let's go ahead and take a closer look. It's standard knob, but not really. Before we pull that apart, let's just look at one that's already dismounted. It has this arcuate bottom. Of course, that's going to allow it to tip and stay seated at the same time while it's tightened up. But in my preparation for this, I went ahead and tried to seek out some different examples. And not sure on this guy for certain, but this is definitely a mahogany. So I can tell by the density, I can tell by the grain, there's a little bit of exposure there. So as we get into this one with the casting on it and all the hardware, it's kind of hard to tell what we're dealing with. But if you pull it apart, right, there's the component we need. There isn't any fresh wood, but I can tell now it's much lighter, and under closer, illumination, I think we'll find that there's a mahogany grain right there. So not a rosewood part, which is fine, doesn't really matter. We just need to figure out how we're going to do this, and it's almost a 90 degrees, so I see 2 glue ups. We're going to flatten this surface, dress it, make sure that we have good open pores so that we can get our mahogany, or not mahogany, but we can get our epoxy to seat and sink into it. And then once that's dry, we'll cut the other side and we'll do it again. And we'll make sure that we have vertical grain, so we're going this way. And that's about it, really. Let's go ahead and file this thing and see what we got. Mahogany. Super easy to identify. It's got kind of a redwood color to it. It's just by feel alone, I could tell when we took all the hardware off and we had the metal off of it, it was much lighter than a rosewood knob would be. And what we're looking for is a flat surface here. Now, normally I would set this up on a table saw and some hot melt glue and make a saw pass, but I think given the nature of mahogany and that it's easy to work with, I should be able to just skim off what we need here, and with a flat rasp we should be able to get a nice flat surface. I'm using an Iwasaki rasp. These are like tiny little microplanes, and you can see I'm not using a standard file card. I don't hit these with metal at all. In fact, I'm very much trying to avoid my vise, right? You don't want to be mashing these guys because each one of these little flat planes is like a little plane blade. Just absolutely love these Iwasaki rasps. I like it. Here's something worth mentioning. I've flattened the surface out, and I'm going to put mahogany on here and bond it. We could shoulder this and kind of like almost like a rabbit. You're just going to have a ledge or an edge and make a sharp line. Well, when we bond this on and then turn the new material, we're going to have a very distinct straight line there, which is something you want to avoid, right? Everything we do on handles and knobs has a highly contoured and a very elegant surface, and we try and avoid straight lines, because in nature there are no straight lines. And so I am going to radius this. I'm going to kind of, I don't know how to describe it other than just like a front of a toboggan. I'm just going to put a radius up here, and then my replacement piece will have a rounded edge on it as well. The result will be, as we turn this, you'll get kind of an arcuate shape, much like a cathedral in standard grain on wood. So again, just trying to get away from straight lines if you can. Those are the things that are going to pop out and expose your repair, make it a little more noticeable. So it's the little things that add up to make these appear seamless. So. if you're paying attention to that, you notice I was dipping in what appears to be clear water, which is exactly what that is. The transtint dye is so intense that I started with just this half of a drop, and I colored my first pool. I diluted it to here, and then just what's left in the brush will carry through. And so I just need it wet. So I'm really just using the water to flow, and I'm not worried about being consistent. If you're a traditional furniture repairman or finishing person, you tend to want to put, paste like gel stain or pigment stain or something on a rag and just smear it all over and flood the surface. And I prefer to use a small artist brush for one reason is so that I'm not consistent. In other words, you see my strokes and I get variation, and I'll do one section, I'll let it kind of saturate, and then I either burnish it out or rub it out. But again, the natural fibers and the method we're using to distress this or hide is that it shouldn't be one solid color and all perfect. I'll put, black down in here. We'll just kind of fill this in with black, but you don't want it to be all uniform and perfect, because then it looks like it's uniform and perfect. It looks like it's been redone. So what I'm attempting to do, I've got a little bit of a joint line here. I'll darken this in and kind of use the shades to hide that one. Then I'll lighten up and put a couple stripes in there. A little stripes and some imbalance is okay. It's fiber, right? It's wood. It's not supposed to be a perfect uniform color across the whole thing, and that helps it. Even now, this is far from done, but at a glance, it takes on, a natural kind of appeal. So I like a small brush. It keeps me not blotchy, but at least some variation.